Right up top, big, strong, only 22 years of age, has played for the US national team under 20s and under 18s. Not a great deal of goals in him, but very strong, very, very physical. And they've got a Burkina Faso defensive midfielder, former international, 10 caps for Burkina Faso, Ali Rabo. There's his shirt right there. 33 years of age, but I'm sure he gets around the pitch quite nicely.
As for the away side, Psm Makssar looking to continue their unbeaten. Who has Darij Kalajic gone for?
Well, I think, I spoke about having a strong backbone of foreign players, Evans in defense. Mark Clark is the one who makes them tick in central midfield. William Pluim, doesn't give the ball away. And Junior, once again makes himself very, very busy. And I think, I like watching PSM Makassar over Persija, who may have the better local players, but certainly, I mean, the three names there, one doesn't start, it have made a world of difference to Makassar. So again, for me, this is a very, very good team, who have got many options. They can play on the ground or they can go direct, because you've got a man mountain in Markkanen, sits on the bench today though.
So, two teams with contrasting fortunes in the group stage. PSM unbeaten, BECAMEX BİNH Dào hiNG having to do it the hard way as the best runners-up. Form won't matter though once the whistle goes off. First half coming up after the break.
Everyone, we're going on a road trip.
Vacation!
The whole gang's still together.
Let's go! Go! Help me get out of here.
I'll help you. With my foot. Boom!
Woody, meet
Duke Kaboom, Canada's greatest stuntman. Yes.
Huh? He's posing.
Nailed it. Heads up!
We can handle a cat.
Not this one.
Is that how we look on the inside? There's so much love.
Welcome to the Binh Duong Stadium in Tu Dao Mat City, some 20 kilometers north of downtown Ho Chi Minh City, where tonight we see a semi-final, first leg played. And for the second night, it's of course AFC Cup ASEAN zonal competition. As the home side, well, they've grown into this competition, their first AFC Cup appearance since 2010. And after a slow start, they won their final 4 group games, including a victory against Ceres Negros that saw them through to this competition. So the Vietnam Cup winners very much enjoying their taste of AFC Cup competition, and they're now looking to take a step towards the final. However, they're up against a team which really has relished this competition. Debutants Psm Makssar, no strangers to Asian competition. They actually have played in the AFC Asian Champions League in recent seasons, but in this, their first campaign of AFC Cup football, they are unbeaten, winning 4 of those matches, and along the way scoring goals galore, 17 of them to be precise, only Hanoi outscoring them in terms of group stage competition. Well, they come into this one with a settled side that has scored plenty of goals, and they also come into this one with a coach who knows what this competition is all about. Let's just get a few thoughts ahead of this one from the man who's in charge of PSM Makssar tonight. We're talking about Darij Kalajic, and he's just had this to say about tonight's clash.
Today is only first half of this semi-final. For us, it's priority to have today good result for the second half and second game in Indonesia. I know a lot because we analyze our opponent on the same way like how we analyze also our opponent in Indonesia. So we know a lot about BECAMEX, and a very disciplined team, physically strong, with the tall players, good in the air, and the team who prefer to play long balls, very direct to those two strikers, and this is the main thing what BECAMEX is doing.
Well, some insights there from PSM Makssar coach Dario Kalazic, and fascinating to hear what he says about the opposition. Well, let me bring in Jamie Reeves here, the Fox Sports pundit and commentator who has seen plenty of these sides in their group play. Well, first things first, Jamie, fascinating that he recognises the long balls up to the two strikers as being a threat from BECAMEX. Do you agree?
Well, in previous games, yes, I would have said that's the way they went, but they're not playing one of those two big strikers tonight. Eero Markkanen isn't in the starting lineup, he's on the subs bench, and so you suspect that they're going to try and play their game a little bit different. I think he's right that they are very well organised, and they don't like to push the ball around in little triangles or anything like that. Willem Pluim likes to get on the ball, likes to knock the ball long, and so I do think they'll play quite an expansive game.
So we'll give you a little bit of team news in just a moment, but we are anticipating goals, and that's often the way in this one, Jamie, isn't it? In that we have seen a group stage where there is sometimes a marked disparity between the quality levels of sides, and as a result we've seen teams firing in big scores. Does it necessarily mean, though, that when they come face to face that there will be a high score, or are these two teams going to be fairly evenly matched?
Well, I hope it's the first outcome, John, because I'd like to see a lot of goals this evening, but I suspect that it might well be the second outcome you mentioned there, because if you take the group that BECAMEX were in, poor old Shan United at the bottom of the table, they led in 25 goals in their 6 games. So yes, of course there are high scores in that sort of situation. I don't think it'll be very high scoring tonight, but I'd be very surprised if it was a Doer 0-0 draw or anything like that. I think there will be goals in it for sure.
Well, there they are out in the late afternoon glare, as the Binh Duong supporters are going to be hoping that their side produces another performance to be proud of here. They actually won in the league last time out at the weekend, a victory against Quang Nam, which has taken them to 6th place in the table. But there have been behind-the-scenes concerns at BECAMEX Binh Duong, not least the fact that their coach, who led them through to March and of course through to the latter stages of this competition, Tran Minh Chien, actually quit, saying that he was going to be pursuing family business. There were suggestions, however, that perhaps it was because there were problems with the captain and veteran striker Win An Duc. Well, as I said, just suggestions that might have been the problem there. In any case, Win Tan Son is leading this side this evening. Far more settled, the man who we heard from just now, the PSM Makssar coach Dario Kalazic, able to pick and choose his side here. The travelling support there. PSM is back, they say. As I mentioned earlier, there were 2 AFC Champions League campaigns in recent seasons, but this has been a tournament that they've really taken to 4 wins and 2 draws along the way. 2 victories away from home in the Philippines against Kaya and also against Lao Toyota along the way, so they look as if they're a well-coached, well-prepared side, Jamie.
They're certainly a very well-coached side. I think Kalazic is an excellent coach and extremely diligent in the modern style. He studies all the videos and analyses the way teams are set up and how they play, and will devise a game plan which is appropriate for the opponents and the occasion. I think this evening's game, playing away from home as they are, it's no secret, is it, that the trick is in that situation to try and keep the score down, try and get a decent result so that you get them back to your place and finish the job off there. Even in the interview he said, you know, it's only half time, it's only the first 45 minutes metaphorically tonight. Nothing's decided tonight. What you've got to do is to get them back to your place in a situation where you can finish the job off. And I think looking at the starting lineup, we've mentioned a number of their players, and we saw Mark Klopp there, the number 10, and I think he's going to be very important for them tonight, because although he does get goals, he's a very good athlete. He's very important covering the back 4 and winning the ball in the middle of the park. He's a really dogged, combative player, and I think he will be putting it about, as they say.
Thank you very much indeed. Yes, very telling that the first comment really from Dario Kalazic was that this is just halfway. This is just the first of the legs, but those fans will be hoping that they travel back with something substantial to show from this away game for PSM Makassar tonight. They, of course, are in this competition because they finished as runners-up to Persija Jakarta last season in Indonesia. And they're up against the side that made it into this competition through their cup exploits, the Vietnam Cup winners from last season, BECAMEX BİNH Dào hiNG. Our officials this evening, incidentally, come from India. Rohan Arumugan is the man with the whistle in the middle. He's going to be assisted by Sapam Kennedy and Aaron Pillai. And it looks as if with the shadows creeping over the Binh Duong Stadium here, it's going to be an interesting toss.
I think the players will want to favour this side of the pitch, partly through the shade, and also that's where all the crowd is. I mean, if you're at this stadium watching the football, you don't want to be sitting out in the sun, do you? So although it looks virtually empty, there is a substantial crowd on this side of the stadium, and we'll certainly hear plenty of noise from both sets of fans.
Yeah, the drummers are over there, but they've always said the drummers are mad, aren't they? So we're about to go. As you can see, the formality is just about completed, and we are looking to very different conditions, certainly from the AFC, or rather the ASEAN zonal semi-final first leg we saw last night. Dry, maybe even a little bit too dry for these two sets of players, but they're well used to it right now, having battled through a qualifying campaign, and they won't be able to wait to get started. Let's get into some team news here. As far as Binh Duong are concerned, they come into this one with three players who didn't play in their last game in this competition. That would be the goalkeeper Trandum Quong. Win Trung Tin comes in for his first appearance in this competition. The left back, and Le Tan Tai is the third of the players who comes into this side. We know all about their two strikers, Anduk and Wanda Luiz, who scored 4 goals so far in this competition. As for the PSM Makassar side, far more interesting, as Jamie's alluded to already. The big news there is that although we see William Plum play, there's another player, a familiar name to this side in this competition, who is not going to be in from the start. Now, as you can see there, Plum is going to provide plenty of stature and bulk, but the player who grabbed 5 goals for them in the 17 that they scored in terms of group stage action has been left on the bench from the start tonight. We're referring to Iro Markkanen, the towering Finn. His 5 goals, not good enough to earn him a place in this side here. So instead, it's pretty much an expected lineup here with Guy Jr., or Ondua as he's known, likely to be the sole striker, with anchoring that midfield. And on the bench as well, Benny Wayudi, slightly surprisingly missing out in his customary right-back slot, which is taken by Asnawi Bahar. Jamie, initial reaction there, and interesting to see the 5-goal Markkanen not starting.
Yes, it's one of two things. Either they're going to play conservatively tonight and aren't really looking to score but to keep the score down, in which case it's a fairly defensive move, or I do wonder if maybe he's got a little bit of a knock and they don't fancy his chances for the full 90 minutes. I suppose there's a third option. In this kind of heat, the size that he is, he may not be able to survive the full game, so maybe they're just trying to protect him a little bit.
So Kalazic and company look on now as they prepare to get us underway, and it's the solitary figure of Guy Jr. Ondua who rolls it back, and away they go though. So kicking left to right, it is Psm Makssar, our Indonesian competitors here in the red strip up against BECAMEX BİNH Dào hiNG. Straight away we can see them settling into a shape that traditionally would see Evans and Abdul Rahman playing through the middle. A little tweak to the fullbacks, though.
Yes, Taufik was the established fullback earlier in the season. I'm not surprised to see him. I think he's very good. And I like Abdul Rahman, actually, centre-half. I think he's very effective.
Oh, the first little move forward came from Rashid Bakri, and we see opportunity straight away to see how these two sides are lining up. Pretty much as expected, 4 across the back from both. Just a question really of how adventurous this PSM Makassar team is in terms of how much we see the likes of Clark and certainly Plum getting forward.
It's a very tentative start to the game, I have to say. Both sides seem hugely apprehensive about what's going on. I'd expect a little bit more confidence from their players.
Oh, there's a case in point straight out of play there, and yeah, it's a nervy start. Obviously this is knockout football, this is the first leg of a semi-final, and I guess that's playing on some of the minds out there. But These are experienced players with coaches who know exactly what this is all about. This game, you would expect, will settle down fairly soon. As just working their way down the left-hand side are PSM Makssar, who will not mind at all a slow, cagey start to this match whatsoever. No great desire, I'm sure, from them to see their opposition really get into them, settle into a rhythm. Clock who comes across, and he's got his usual defensive shielding to do here, but remarkable really to think that a player who plays in that position should be as prolific in front of goal. 4 goals in fact for Mark Clock already, which is not bad for a holding midfielder.
Yeah, actually PSM, of course, they scored 17 goals in qualification. It could have been almost double that.
Well, there was an attempt there with the back heel that very, very nearly came off, and suddenly springing into attack here are Binh Duong, who keep the ball alive, moving it now to the right-hand side. Body still in the area, that's half cleared. Just pulling away to the left-hand side there. Was our first real glimpse of this very, very sharp attacking duo that they have of Nguyen Duc and Juan de Luis.
They are a very good pairing, actually, and I think if that midfield 4 can get some decent service up to them, unlike that ball there, then they can cause a few problems. I'm not entirely sure about Aaron Evans. As we alluded to earlier, PSM created so many chances, and Markkanen was the chief offender, missing chances in the qualification. They are a team that create a lot, and I think that's why Clock ended up getting a few goals, because there were chances for everybody.
Oh, that's a little bit better. Suddenly they've burst into life. Juan de Luis there with just a little nibble at the ankles there, and he's adjudged to have fouled his man quite correctly by referee Arulmugan.
Yeah, he brings down Taufik there. Taufik's a nice footballer. I think they're a much better team when he's playing at left full-back.
And it goes through Taufik again, nicely done, just rolls it down the line. Zul Zamra operating on the left-hand side.
Yes, I think we'll see the 2 wide players, Rizki and Zulum Zamrun, switching at different times in the game.
Well, he leaves it for Taufik, who takes over. Looks as if he might be going for a little bit of distance on this one.
Not a huge throw on him, but a little bit longer than most.
Not huge, as you say, but that's nicely done. Beautiful little turn. That was the first glimpse, really, there of what Guy Jr. can do up there. Bit of power, bit of skill, got him behind. Unable, though, to get past the second challenge, though.
He's a magnificent athlete, Guy Jr., no question at all about that.
Well, he's 32 years old right now, and he's grabbed a couple of goals in this one, but it's a thankless task, the amount of work that he'll be expected to do up there.
I think when your team's playing away from home in one of these sorts of games, playing centre forward means you're going to chase a lot of lost causes.
Well, the game's just beginning to get going now. A couple of challenges there. That was Clock leaving his man on the ground.
Yeah, that's an expression you might use a time or two tonight.
That's nicely done. Good vision from Juan de Luis. Couldn't quite pick his man out there. Just looking to see how they're going to get through what looks like a very defensive setup here from PSM. The 4 really supplemented by 1, sometimes 2 shielding in midfield on the evidence of what we're seeing so far. And as a result, 1 or 2 gaps in midfield. Oh, the drummers have set a good tempo to start off with here, we know that much, and in fact the stand on the far side filling up as this action gets underway. Nicely done once again. Turn. And that's Victor Mansaray who started the move and then continues it, but he's lost out now. No foul, says the referee, despite Mansaray's protestations.
I think that might be the first time that Bloom's touched the ball in the game, and immediately you can see what a good footballer he is.
Looks like he might need a while to just get that huge frame going, but difficult to dispossess, we know that much.
He's got a little bit of the Yaya Tourés about him. His body's too big for how skillful he is with the ball at his feet.
Well, in the end, it took an overly vigorous challenge there on Plum, who was very hard to knock off, and he felt that perhaps he should have been adjudged the innocent party there. Can't really believe that that was given against him. No harm done, and through it goes to Rivki for a first serious touch of the ball. He wants everybody outfield. Picks his targets, and there are two obvious ones really, and one of them being Guy Jr., who will look to just put a bit of pressure on here, and that's what they'll be looking for. Throw deep in the Binh half. As we wait for this game really to burst into any meaningful life, forward goes Asnawi from his right back position.
He has got a long throw.
Thank you, Jamie. He looks as if he's winding up and running up for this one. So look for the movement, look for the flick, look for that second run. Oh, that was an improvised effort there from Pluim, and they might just get another opportunity, but that's well defended. All that was needed in the end from Binh Duong there. Lines cleared and reorganisation ongoing. Here it is once again to Plum, whose touch wasn't the best this time around.
Yeah, he'd be disappointed with that. It's usually a better touch, but I do feel that PSM have started the rather better side of the two. Seem to be settling into a little bit of a rhythm.
There's a pattern to what they're doing. We can say that much about them, and this influential player, the captain, certainly coming into the game much more now, William Plum. As is this one, and a bit of room there for Victor Mansarai to run, to turn. Again, he finds himself on the ground. Again, somewhat dubious, but this time it's given in their favour.
Just trod on the ball there.
Well, got the decision, as it turned out, and that's probably a second one now that has slightly baffled the PSM players. So Lertante over it now as he looks to just clip one in. There's a man spare and he misses his shot, and that really was a golden opportunity for the home side to take the lead. Don't know if there was a little bit of pressure on his back right now, and the flag was up in any case, but that did look as if it rather easily found its way to a man who was entirely left alone on the far-hand side there.
Just wasn't picked up, was he, at all? And the timing of that challenge by Zamran had to be spot on.
Và như vậy là trước khi đến với những diễn biến gay cấn của hiệp thi đấu thứ hai, chúng ta hãy cùng dành một ít phút quảng cáo cho nhà tài trợ fp88vn.com. Và nếu như các bạn vẫn còn đang loay hoay không biết sẽ đặt cược cho đội bóng của chúng ta ở đâu, thì hãy truy cập fp88vn.com. Đây là một trong những nhà cái uy tín hàng đầu và đang đứng top tại diễn đàn đặt cược châu Á Asian Bookie. Các bạn có thể yên tâm đặt cược tại đây. Hãy truy cập ngay fp88vn.com và đừng bỏ lỡ cơ hội.
It's nicely done. We're seeing a lot of involvement early on from Mansarai, as this one is swung away to the right-hand side. Oh, that's neatly done again. Excellent play from To Van Vu, who really is probably the most lively attacking threat that they have down that right-hand side.
Well, he skinned Taufik there for sure.
Oh, and that's a lovely run as well. Show of ambition from Ali Rabo, all the way from the back. He heads there again right now.
Well, just as I was saying, PSM have made the better start. Suddenly Binh Duong find their feet. And this fella, he is a very nice footballer, I have to say. This current generation of good Vietnamese players at both under 23 and full international level.
Yeah, Van Vu there really just blasting the ball across. No great design or purpose to what he was doing, but he got in behind, and that might just trouble PSM, as he is a player full of spark, full of life, and full of danger as far as they're concerned.
Yeah, it'll be a good scrap between him and Tawfik. I think Tawfik is one of those fullbacks who's a little bit more comfortable getting forward than he is defending. Could get found out a bit this evening.
So a couple of half chances, a couple of moments that would suggest that things might develop in this game, but still a generally cagey feel to things in these early exchanges of this first leg of our ASEAN Zonal semi-final of this AFC Cup competition for 2019.
Of course, you're right, John. The fact that it's the semi-final for the zonal competition adds more pressure, doesn't it? And if it was the Champions League, they'd be playing the round of 16. It's not nearly as close to an accolade.
No, there's regional bragging rights at stake here. It means something, and it's a well-designed tournament for that.
I think so. I think it's good to get a Southeast Asian champion, isn't it? And you know, you do think that they're the lesser teams in the overall tournament, but if they can win bragging rights in their own environment, that's no mean achievement.
Well, he's got an awful lot to do as Guy Jr. at the moment, and he's doing it very well. He's got past two. Ali Rabo, one of them. Here's Plume, his captain. He looks to swing it far post early. The idea was there. The header wasn't quite there.
It's interesting, the contrast, wasn't it, between the two players there, Guy Jr. and Plume. Guy Jr. is a terrific athlete and works very hard. Plume is a footballer. As soon as he gets the ball there, he works it to his left foot, comfortably knocks in a very, very good cross.
Yeah, the vision to do something a little bit out of the ordinary, the quick turn, the quick thinking, and that very nearly led to the opening goal in this game. As it is, it's Binh Duong's turn to have a go right now. Wanda Louise frustrated. They know he's a danger. 2 or 3 players around him there.
Aaron Evans was just squeezing the ball there. Usually suggests that players feel it's well, usually a little bit too soft, occasionally too hard. It gets a sort of brittle feel. Referee's not interested.
Oh, we'll watch that one, see how that progresses, but as it is, oh, that's nicely done on the ball, but then he loses out there, Plume. Again, Van Vu's the danger man, but not chosen down the right-hand side this time. Instead, the option was to go to Makssar, who's drifted in from his left flank. Uses his strength then to hold his man off, but very well defended indeed for the time being. Poor cross, poor clearance, rather, leading to a cross and danger. And so far that's typified this opening quarter of an hour of this match. Something good followed by something a little bit less good, a little bit scrappy. Looking to settle really into some kind of a pattern of a game.
Yeah, I think these early kickoffs don't really do the games too much of a favour. Not only is the pitch covered by the sun in the early part, and obviously it's very hot, less of a crowd because people have got to finish work before they get there. So sometimes the pace takes a little while to pick up. Usually the second half is a lot more entertaining and a lot more open, a lot more athletic.
I admire optimism as it is. They're really just sparring at the moment, these two sides, once again, looking for that opening. Maybe looking just to get to the point in the half when physicality and fitness levels become a factor. Oh, it's well read and well intercepted, and away they come once again through. Plume picks out his man. There was an opportunity to slide a through ball there, just didn't take it. Rizky Sanjaya it was who had that opportunity, and instead it's a little bit of a mix-up. 2 challenges in midfield that really weren't expected, and as a result Tawfik went down. Abdul Rahman found something to complain about. And really it was the 2 players running into one another there, the 2 teammates. Possibility of a dead leg in there, and that's what upset Abdul Rahman.
Yeah, he's not normally a whinger, Abdul Rahman. He's a very robust player in his own right. I think the circumstances got a bit beyond him there.
No harm done. Away they go once again. The ever-present Plum, nicely done. Guy Junior looking to get around. Oh, that's a hefty challenge on him, and as such it is penalised. Ali Rabo it was, who just got a bit too much of him there, and this is a position of some danger just outside the Binh Duong penalty area. It's a talking to, but nothing more than that.
It's a rash challenge, isn't it? He's just a yard behind his man. I think he would argue he got a little bit on the ball, but these days that's not enough.
A little on the ball, a lot on the man. Yeah. It's all about control at situations like that, and there wasn't a great deal from Ali Rabo there. So, having conceded that one, the man from Burkina Faso now has to join his defenders in trying to ensure this doesn't lead to anything more harmful than just a free kick. It's clock standing over it. Very close. And it's a question of up, over, round, power, or is it just going to be left and lifted there into a position where they can attack it?
Noticeable, Plum's not in the picture there. He's a giant of a man, but he has no great fondness for heading the football.
Funny old game, as they say. So they have got plenty of bodies in there, 5 of them for PSM, and it's dragged back to nobody, unfortunately. Something was wrong communication-wise there. Mark Clark pulled it back, only though to a blue-shirted Binh Duong defender, and that really was a wasted opportunity.
It's got to be one of the worst free kicks that we've seen taken, really. He managed to pick out an unmarked opponent in the penalty area.
On the penalty spot.
Yeah. Oh, well, back to the drawing board for that one.
All right. Fascinated, and you've obviously seen a lot more of Plum than me, to think that that man isn't able to be a physical presence in the area. That is something of a waste of resources. Nicely done out to the right-hand side, where there's plenty of room to get across in here. It's flicked up in the air from Evans, not the most convincing. And as it just runs out of play down this near side here, it's going to be a Binh Duong ball. Quickly taken, the throw, nice turn. Plum was back there just doing what he does well, just covering for his side. Oof, and that's another wrap around the shin guard there for Guy Junior, and that's a little bit hefty from Trung Trinh.
But that one was borderline. I think the referee was just saying you're a fraction away from a yellow card there. It's a fairly cynical challenge, that, isn't it? There's nowhere near the ball at the time.
Well, you don't have to be a lip reader to know. You're absolutely right, Jamie. That was right. Next one and you're carded. And it's still fairly early in this game, just 20 minutes or so on the clock right now. Not particularly what you want your young left back to be doing this early in the game, picking up a caution. So again, we find ourselves in a lull as PSM Makassar look to just build from the back and do so patiently. Well, the coaching staff not entirely happy with what was happening there, but again, the captain trying to make something out of not very much at all.
He really has got some very extravagant touches on the ball. Looks very improbable. And of course, it is down to the home team to make the running. If they're going to allow their opponents to dwell on the ball and kill the time, then I think Makassar will be very happy about that.
And they'll be happy enough with this, because probably the most dangerous Binh Duong player, Van Vu, started that move, but he was deep inside his own half, and really that's not where they want him at all. Now in that unfamiliar position, he'll switch with his fullback. He's committed a foul. Looked like the challenge of a winger really there, and as a result it's going to be PSM with an opportunity far over on that left-hand side. Taufik happy to just roll it inside. Clock now, and he'll continue that movement towards the right. This time it doesn't stick. And that's nicely played out from the back. And this is what Binh Duong do well, when they can get those little triangles going, when they can move the ball, as the better Vietnamese sides do. And there's an opportunity for Victor Mansarai there. He goes shoulder to shoulder, and it's a splendid battle, it has to be said, that one. Asnawi giving no quarter there.
No, certainly he's in boxing parlance it will be a catchweight contest. A little bit rash his final challenge. This is a good one, and then I think he sees red a little bit there. That wasn't there for him to win. Should have just stood his ground as a player was going away from goal.
Now this is a dangerous position, a chance to get some real movement on this ball and maybe arrow it in under that crossbar. They're all lined up in there. Wanda Louise, an obvious target. And you feel that Captain Plum's going to have to play a major role here, like it or not. They've gone far post, it's kept in play, and there is Plum, who does manage to manufacture a header assault, and away it goes. Danger only half cleared though, and that's floated back in. They make something of it nicely. Le Tantai keeps it alive. Out to the right they go. Wanda Louise has stayed out, and there he is. Looks up, looks for his options, takes a sensible one. Can they get the ball in? Yes, they do. And it's a sliding clearance from Evans.
Well, there's no question which side is executing the set pieces to greater effect. Again, Binh Duong looking dangerous when they took that ball.
It's twice now they've got round the back, haven't they, with nobody paying much attention on the far post. And that will have been noted by Binh Duong, that there are opportunities presenting themselves from these set plays. That's well won in the tackle. And there are now spaces opening up on the left-hand side of that PSM Makassar defence. But they're bailed out by the assistant, who's seen an infringement, awarding a free kick to the visitors. Just a couple of moments back though, Jamie, we saw a little bit of progressive passing play from Binh Duong, which really is something that we see from the better Vietnamese teams at all age group levels now, including the full national side. That's when they're at their best, when they are able to show that close control, able to pass and move, and that's something that this man will be aware of. He spoke about them playing long balls earlier on to the two strikers. It's not always that way.
No, we've seen this. They've looked at their best when they've been moving the ball around. They've got good mobility as well. It's a very modern game that the Vietnamese play. And as you say, they're playing it at every level, club and international level.
Yeah, there's consistency from them here. We're seeing an interesting mixture of approaches here from PSM Makssar, who look as if they've got the physicality in terms of the edge. That might have been a little bit strong in the challenge there. Again, the referee resists the temptation to reach for his card.
There's a suspicion that Tolfik might be making rather a lot of this one. Let's have a look.
Và để tạm gác lại những giây phút căng thẳng ở trong trận thi đấu này, chúng tôi xin được trân trọng giới thiệu đến các bạn fp88vn.com là trang nhà cái đến từ châu Âu, có kèo ăn cao nhất hiện nay và đang được đông đảo anh em hâm mộ bóng đá tại Việt Nam lựa chọn để tham gia. fp88vn.com đảm bảo uy tín cho anh em nạp và rút tiền trực tiếp qua thẻ ngân hàng chỉ trong vòng 5 đến 10 phút mà thôi. Hãy nhanh tay tham dự tại fp88vn.com.
Fortunately there, a hang of the head from William Plum as that ball rolls out of play somewhat embarrassingly, and away we go with Binh Duong into, you'd like to say, one of the danger men. Wanda Louise, there's another one. And what looked like a good tackle, a ball-winning tackle, has again been adjudged to have been illegal by referee Rowan Arumagan. Interested to see that one again, as once more it's a free kick in a potentially dangerous position for BECAMEX Binh Duong.
It was Rashid Bakri who got himself into trouble in the first place, losing the ball in a fairly dangerous area.
Well, it's the number 14, Le Tantai, who stands over this one. We've seen decent delivery with his right foot so far, but there's a whole cabal of players who look as if they fancy this one, not least the number 11. course, when you're Win and Duck, you pull rank just about on everybody. The captain might fancy something here.
Well, there's plenty of room to get the ball up and down. That's the good thing. I just feel that that's what close to 35 yards, maybe a little bit too far.
Well, he's adopted the pose of someone who strikes a free kick. Let's see if it is him or if it's Le Tantai. It is Anduk, and there was never going to be enough power on that one as it sails harmlessly wide.
Yeah, Rifki had that one covered comfortably, didn't he? Scampered across to the far post and just watched the ball go past.
We had a couple of those in a game we were covering last night, and you feel in modern parlance you really need to look for that so-called knuckle ball. You need to be hitting into the valve. You need something to happen explosively on that ball to make it trouble a keeper from that kind of range. Curl alone, surely not enough for a keeper of Rivki's quality. Oh, that's decently struck out to the far side, looking for Van Vu, who's kept possession of the ball, and now he makes a foray infield but gives it away, and they can build here. That's neatly done. Little give and go there involving Pluim, but it's lost in midfield. Yet to really string much together in those midfield areas. We've got Sul Zamran operating wide. We've got Rashid Bakri struggling to get on the ball as much as perhaps he might like. Rizki Sanjaya as well. I haven't really seen enough of them linking up with the captain. And in contrast, we've seen some fairly good work in the wide areas from Binh Duong so far. Much of that which has been good from them has come from the likes of Mansarai or Van Vu over on the right side. Well, Mark Klock's decided he's going to take over proceedings here, but running really into a blind alley, and the ball is lost. Mansarai uses his strength to win it back, and again the whistle goes maybe a little bit sooner than some of us might have wanted.
I think if we take a look at that again from Mansarai, we will find that it was a foul. But it's one of those that you usually get away with. A referee a little bit on the fussy side, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, this is just an objective assessment. It's just punctuated the game a little bit too much. It's not allowing things to flow just now, but he's got his job to do. He will be assessed, and yeah, you're absolutely right. If it was a foul, he has to give it. There's Mansarai once again. Opportunity for the switch, nicely done. And there's Ho Tan Tai, and he gets his head down and he goes again. Van Vu's got an option. Instead he goes for the cross, looking for Van der Luis, couldn't pick him out. And that's ambitious from Le Tan Tai from some way out. Van der Luis is still in there scrapping for it, and they could do with clearing this, which they eventually managed to do. A little over eager in the attention there.
I think 30 minutes gone, 0-0 is absolutely where the game should be. I think both sides have shown little bits of quality, but neither side has gained much of an ascendancy over a length of time.
Well, that wasn't really his strongest suit, Abdul Rahman. They're trying to play a ball into Guy Jr. and missing by some way. So possession surrendered, and Binh Duong look to continue with what's more of a possession-based game. If we're going to be broadly analytical about these two sides' approach so far. The only thing is, though, they need to find some penetration to go with it. And with Unduk struggling really to get on the end of anything so far, those balls up top haven't caused much trouble. It's 1 against 3. And in the end, he manages to dig a shot out. But Guy Jr. there was really looking for a corner as much as anything.
I think he'll be pretty pleased with his work there. Certainly held the ball up nicely to begin with. Has a look round. There's nobody in support. OK, I'll have a go at goal. Took a deflection. If it hadn't taken a deflection, it would have worked the keeper.
And as a result, an opportunity. Yep, you're absolutely right. The tallest man on the pitch will not be getting on the end of this one because he's going to be delivering it. The PSM captain, Willem Plum, but nothing wrong with that given the quality he has on the ball. So he's got another 5 PSM Makassar players to aim at. Goes very, very deep indeed. Back it comes in, but the second ball was very comfortably Binh Duong's. A little lack of quality there, I'm afraid, which is maybe one of the reasons why we haven't seen the goal just yet, be it on the transition, be it on that ability to turn the ball over and make something effective happen. Half a chance there when that set piece was squandered, because very often we see teams scoring when the opposition has misplaced something from the set piece, but they weren't good enough, Binh Duong, to get out there.
Oh, we shouldn't be
there
surprised.
You are. There we are. The squeeze is on. Look, Jamie.
Yep. Shouldn't be surprised that Binh Duong are defensively sound. They've really, I think they conceded 3 goals in their second game in the competition, and outside of that, they've only let in 2 goals in total. Very good defensively.
Well, they've got some defending to do right now. That's an angled ball out to the right-hand side. Are these long legs of Plum going to make it? Yes, is the answer there. Oh, that's lovely. Lovely feet. Now, can he pick a pass at the end of this one? Does he need to? Unfortunately, he undid all of the good work. All of those good feet, but they're still alive in this, and there's a player free on the far post if they can pick him out. In the end, a bit scrappy from Binh Duong, but they half clear. Still not out, though. Taufik picks things up here. That's a good ball to Plum. Can he finish? Went for the spectacular. Well, he's involved in everything.
Well, he's great fun to watch. You always get entertainment from him. The ball hoisted up there. You might have expected him to go with his head, but if you've watched him play, you're not surprised to see him go for the extravagant with his foot. He's capable of it.
Does look really as if anything's going to happen, it's going to come from him. In fact, what was more interesting really, Jamie, was the passage of play a minute or so, maybe even 30 seconds before that, when he brilliantly kept the ball in at the corner flag, took on a couple of players with great feet, and then lost the ball.
And then overran it. And I guess that's why he's playing his football in Indonesia, John, and not plying his trade back in Holland. Because he's got tremendous feet. I bet he's amazing playing 5-a-side football, small-sided games, but it doesn't work frequently enough. It's got to work nearly every time. Sometimes it comes off and it's amazing. The bit of skill in the corner was lovely.
So still we await an opening goal. We've got just over 10 minutes to go in this first half of this first leg of our ASEAN Zonal semi-final here in the AFC Cup competition. Not really much to choose between these two sides. We spoke about some gulfs in quality in terms of the group stage play in this competition. And remember, this is a competition for emerging nations, and well, these two look as if they're pretty well matched. Well, that was a little bit risky there, and Makssar managed to just duck in. Opportunity on the turn. Snapshot. And Wanda Louise just got the turn, couldn't quite keep the ball down. Idea was there, and the execution wasn't that far off in the end.
No. And he'll be pleased to have gotten a chance. You know, when you're playing as a striker, you can go long periods with barely touching the ball. And at least in that situation, he was there having a pop at goal.
Well, there's the stat that really tells you all you need to know. That shot from Wanda Louise was only their second of the half, and that will disappoint them really here. Now, Plum's gone down here. Looks as if he did catch a blow to the face. Someone's done well to reach that high.
We did say he's got no fondness in going for headers. That was a situation where he had to go for it.
Might just have caught the back of someone's head by the looks of things here, and it's a painful blow.
I thought it was an accidental one.
Well, it was Ali Rabo jumping The arm was up.
The arm's raised,
hand maybe was raised by the Burkina Faso defender there, but he looks shocked to have been adjudged to have fouled him.
You can see he's only got eye for the ball, but that right arm is raised.
Well, he's still down. Is the most influential player, it must be said, for PSM Makssar, so they will take their time and make sure that everything is absolutely right with William Plum. Let's just be sure there's no ill intent there. As you can see, eyes on the ball, but the hand reaches out. Maybe not entirely necessarily, but I don't think, Jamie, and you're someone who in your playing career will have been on the receiving end of plenty of those. How would you grade that?
It's not one of the worst, is it? It's the hand, it's not the elbow. When it's the point of the elbow, that's the really painful one.
Well, anyway, it's earned PSM Makassar a free kick. Clock inevitably is over it. And once again, the threat really coming from Guy Jr. Evans has pushed forward for this one as well. There's the signal as to where this one's going. They haven't made the most of their set pieces so far in this half. What can they do with this one? Clock lines it up, right-footed, just curls it in towards the keeper. Too close really. And now a chance on the transition, on the break here for Binh Duong. Lifted across and well left. Makssar couldn't get it first time, gets it at the second attempt. Does he take his man on? No, instead pushes it in. Lay, who misread the situation, thought Makssar might have been making a run there, and in the end that's very tidily defended by Asnawi. Well, Plume's up and about again. Well, that's a neat little ball into the feet there. Half a chance, no foul this time, says the referee. Trungton it was who thought he had been fouled there, and away we come down the left-hand side.
Breaks on here, John.
Sam Run, if he can get his head up, he's got a couple of players for company. Gets the cross in, and there were two bodies in the box there. One of them flew in, the other Guy Jr. Still just about PSM Makassar's ball, but it kind of fizzles out, and that really is illustrative of much of what we've seen in this half.
I'm afraid so, yeah. That was a really good situation. He had two men in the middle against actually only one defender, but the cross not deep enough, not high enough, and too many things have looked promising and then fizzled out.
So scoreless we are in the 40th minute of this match. The shadows have virtually covered the pitch, and so, Jamie, I'm going to hold you to your
promise of better
a better second half in terms of athleticism and perhaps even quality at the end of it.
I think the pace has picked up as the half has worn on. If you remember the sort of soporific rate that it started at.
Yeah, it was slow in the sun from the kickoff, it must be said, but no harm done for either side. Both coaches will stress that point. They are exactly where they were at the start of this match, at the start of this first leg of this semi-final, and with what's at stake, they'll be happy enough with their work. Well, he's looking for a foul there, and not being given it. That was Nguyen Trong Quay. And with just under 5 minutes remaining, are we going to see a significant moment in this match here?
I think there's too much at stake for that, John. You know, they've gone 40 minutes into the game. Don't want to give anything away just before the half.
Get into the half and then see where you are from there, is what you're saying. Yeah, understandable. Clock just works it out to the left. The ever-willing Taufik, not the best ball there, not much that can come of that. And back they go again. Evans to his central defensive partner, Abdul Rahman. Out it comes once more to Asnawi. That's nicely done. And the fullback goes for a run. He's brought down crudely. Is that a card, you wonder? Because he was past his man there. And there it is. It was a player who had been warned about his behaviour, Nguyen Trong Tin, and sure enough, he has now received that yellow.
There can be no complaints about that refereeing at all. I think that's really good work. It's a nice piece of skill.
And he was away. He was in behind.
Yeah, it's a silly challenge. And in view of what's happened before, Trong Tin natural candidate for the first yellow.
Question is now, do we get more from Clock in terms of quality here? It's a wonderful position. He's got players who can run onto this, and you look at that space between that line of defenders and the goalkeeper, and surely that's where it's got to go.
Across the 6-yard line there.
Như vậy là chỉ còn hơn 10 phút nữa thôi thì trận thi đấu của chúng ta sẽ kết thúc. Và trước khi tạm biệt anh em, chúng tôi xin trân trọng giới thiệu với anh em một website rất uy tín, đó chính là fp88vn.com. Hiện tại đang có chương trình khuyến mãi lên đến 2 triệu đồng dành cho thành viên mới, hoàn toàn hợp pháp và an toàn. Hãy đăng ký tài khoản ngay tại fp88vn.com để nhận được ưu đãi nhé.
PSM Makssar plans have perplexed us, I think it's fair to say. But well, that's a pity. That was a great opportunity. Asnawi, who created it for them, goes for that long throw down the line. There is Plume once again. There are those good feet as he just changes direction. Looks to switch play with the left foot. Van Vu, neatly done. Around his man he goes. Now, how far can he get? That's a good ball. Chips it down the right-hand side. Wanda Louise waits for the support to come. It's there again from Van Vu. They've got players on the far post if they can pick them out. That's blocked, half cleared, and in the end throwing bodies at this one. PSM Makssar just about get away with it.
Best move of the game, no question at all about that.
And they're going to come again. That's nicely done.
That right-hand side is looking good, and actually I thought it was a really good ball played in by Van Vu. And could easily have been the opening goal.
Yeah, we've seen them interchanging Ho Tan Tai and To Van Vu down that right-hand side, and once they got that ball in behind, there was real danger. Well, that was the end of the move, and that was where we saw Abdul Rahman go down, probably just suffering a little bit there, having overstretched in clearing what was a dangerous moment, the most dangerous, as you rightly said, of the half for the visiting team. Still, they weather that particular storm, and they edge closer and closer to a half-time that might just come along with parity here at the Binh Duong Stadium. Nothing fancy about that one, just hoofed downfield by Ali Rabo there. And Duck looks as if he's not at all impressed by the challenge. He was on the receiving end there, grabs his throat. Abdurrahman comes to have a word. Referee doesn't look particularly impressed by what's happened here for the captain. Always wonder if that's really going to help. Abdurrahman not helping the situation a great deal by just yanking there on Win and Duck, as if to say, come on, up you get.
No, we often see players doing that to one another. I'm never sure that it's really doing any good. And with really just a minute or so to go to half-time, I think Abdul Rahman's really saying, look, come on, get up. We can all have a break in a minute.
It's also perhaps sometimes a little way of saying, come on, it wasn't that bad of a challenge. Let's judge for ourselves now. Well, it was a shoulder barge, wasn't it? And that's probably why he's saying nothing wrong with that. Get up, as probably most central defenders would do.
Yeah, but when you shoulder barge, the ball should be somewhere near you at the time, and the ball was still travelling in the air. Having said that, it wasn't such a robust challenge that you need to roll around on the ground for too long.
It's interesting to see what we're seeing from Win and Duck, as I suggested earlier on, and this was, you know, purely based on hearsay. There had been suggestions that there'd been some kind of a falling out between the now departed coach Tran Minh Chien and the captain and veteran player, who he wasn't picking. He wasn't getting in the team, and just wonder if maybe he was looking at Anduk as a waning force, not perhaps the player he once was.
That happens to everyone eventually.
There's Plume, just drags a short ball, cuffs it to the left. He wants to go again on the right-hand side, and that was never going to find him, but it's still with PSM Makssar. It was until Mansarai plays a very clever ball infield. Time's running a little bit short, though, for anything to happen in this first half. And there's a show of dissent there as two players are separated. Referee in the right place at the right time, but we don't want to see that. Referee just nudged back a little bit there by clearly incensed PSM Makassar player. In that case, it was Rizky Sanjaya.
That's a strong challenge coming in, wasn't it, from Rizky initially. The referee's blown up for that, and I think it's all getting a bit tetchy, and I think they probably do need to cool down at half-time.
So, hot heads all around, and it looks very much as if this will be the last meaningful action of this half. Just thumped forward, rather hopefully there, by Ali Rabo, and barely any time for Guy Jr. and company to string anything together here. But there's a ball from Plume that might just cause trouble down the left-hand side. That's well defended. Had to stay alert there, did Ho, and he turned nicely, Ho Tantai, and made a necessary challenge.
That was an interesting ball from Plume there.
Như vậy là trận đấu của chúng ta đã bắt đầu rồi. Nếu như các bạn vẫn còn đang loay hoay chưa biết mình sẽ đặt cược cho hai đội bóng tại đâu, thì chúng tôi xin trân trọng giới thiệu với các bạn fp88vn.com. Đây là một trong những nhà cái uy tín hàng đầu và đứng top tại diễn đàn đặt cược châu Á Asian Bookie. Các bạn có thể yên tâm đặt cược tại đây. Hãy truy cập ngay và đừng bỏ lỡ cơ hội.
That's fallen across the pitch, and perhaps more to come in the second half. We get to half-time in this first leg of our ASEAN Zonal semi-final in the AFC Cup with a scoreline that maybe shouldn't surprise anyone. It's been a little bit cagey. At times it's lacked a little bit in terms of quality. And as a result of that, the two sides troop off saying, well, we are where we were at the start of this one. So it's half-time. Time for us to take a break. We'll come back with more from the Bindong Stadium. And the scoreline is 0-0.
Yes, and not much to talk about from the first half, it has to be said, although a flurry of activity towards the latter stages perhaps suggests that the second half might be a little bit more entertaining. We'll look ahead to that after this short break.